welcome to the Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. Make sure you find the Raptors Show wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe, and please rate and review our show. Reminder, we're streaming live on Sportsnet's YouTube channel and airing live on Sportsnet 360 Monday to Friday from 2 to 3 p.m. I'm your host, William Liu, and I'm joined the morning after what was probably the wildest game of the year, but ultimately yet another nothing burger for the Toronto Raptors is producer and co-host Alex Wong. How are you doing, man? My much more well-adjusted friend. How you doing?
I'm good, man. My nephews are watching today, so
Oh, hello.
you know, we'll talk about them
Henry
later. if
and
there's time.
Owen?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Big Willu stands
That's right.
after you got them cookies.
I didn't just get them cookies. I also, because, okay, we can explain all of this, because this is the positivity off the top of the show. 'Cause obviously, the
okay,
game
yeah.
itself was a nasty product.
Shouts to Justine Jones and Josh Sue for
Shouts to,
helping get them passes to sit courtside before the game.
that's right. So these are your, how old are they?
I believe they're around 6 and 10.
What?
My sister
How do you
can
not know their
clarify.
ages, man?
Message me. Let me know.
Okay.
Around
All right.
there. Yeah.
So anyway, these children, you brought them courtside. You made it all happen. You put in a lot of work behind the scenes. Trust me, I saw you pull every sort of made man lever that there existed. Okay, you pulled all the financial levers like Barcelona, and then you got yourself to that point where you were courtside with these kids, and they're watching Giannis warm up, and they're watching OG and Pascal and Scotty and Fred warm up, and you know, I don't know, the kids. We even asked them at one point because I came over to essentially babysit with them, you know, with you because I know how much that was stressing you out.
I had enough.
You shouldn't be a parent. No offense, but
No,
it's
trust
just
me.
it take too much energy. out
I'm
of your
never
life.
going to have kids.
You
This
literally
has been,
watched these two kids who were very well behaved, I gotta say.
Yeah,
For
you haven't
like
seen
2
the
hours,
worst yet.
and you were exhausted.
Yep.
Um,
Never going to have kids.
But we were watching. They were sitting courtside, and we were like, "Oh, look, that's Giannis," and they're like, "Who's Giannis?"
Yeah,
and I
they
was
were
like,
not
"Oh man!"
impressed.
So you did all this hustling,
And I kept
this,
telling them to not scream at Thanasis. I'm like, he's gonna fight you.
Right.
Yeah.
You wanted them. I wanted them to beef with Thanasis. But you know, you were very on top of things. You gave them this premium experience. And then at one point, I mentioned to one of them because, to be honest, they look kind of identical to me. I'm sorry, I can't distinguish Asians.
Someone did call them twins.
Yeah, you know, I could see that.
I can't.
Well, they're family. I hope you could tell your family members apart. For me, I was like, hey, you know, I heard you like Pokemon, and we literally started talking about playing Pokemon.
Yeah, you guys talking
He's got
master
every
balls,
single game.
repeat balls,
This guy, and I
ball
eventually,
bazaars. I don't know.
after I went to Nick Nurse's press conference, I went to take a detour to the media room, brought my Switch out, which I had.
Yes, you
all
were
the
gone
Pokemon
for half an
franchises.
hour, and my nephew was like, "Did he go home to get the Switch?" Yeah.
Should have told them yes.
I think I did.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
And then I came back out, gave them the Switch, and the kids were, instead of watching Giannis and these guys warm up courtside,
They were
these
playing
little
Pokemon.
children were just playing Switch and having a good time.
Yeah, you had a case with a flower pattern, and they were like, "Do you like flowers?" Yeah.
Yeah.
Kids just say the wildest things. you
Yeah,
know?
no, it was great though. You know, got to meet you know, your sister as well, your brother-in-law. It was
Yeah,
it was
all
chill, man.
Willu stands. It was great.
Yep. You hooked them up
Yeah.
with sweaters. Again, Alex is a very generous person, man. I know he comes in here and pretends like he doesn't care, but he really does care for
I
people.
don't pretend to be anything. But
Okay.
this is me. But yeah, no, I did message my sister this morning, and they're huge fans of you. So there you go.
That's very nice.
4 new Willu stands.
Wow.
So
They're not Wong Joyers?
whoever made that up, report yourself.
What does that even mean?
Anyways, I'm sure people here to
Right.
you
We're here
know,
to talk about that game.
listen to us talk about the Raptors losing to the Milwaukee Bucks. I don't even want to read the score because 104-101 does not
Oh,
describe
man.
the situation. You know, this is your show. Do you want to start at the beginning of the game or end of the game?
You have to start at the beginning. I mean, come on.
Okay.
That was
so,
actually, I mean, look, I think on a team level, they kind of panicked. They were taking panicked rush shots. Everyone kind of, it was funny because everyone had a turn. It wasn't like, oh, they were only running offense through 2 guys. Like everyone took a turn missing shots.
it just snowballed.
It was, and
It was
we were in
snowballing.
that media room and we were watching it, and we were just like laughing at the whole thing. Like at the end of the first quarter, after Raptors started the game 0 of 15, I thought it was 0 of 14, but 0 of 15 from the field. They finished the first quarter shooting 2 of 23 from the field.
And to be clear, they're only trailing by 1 point.
Sure, yeah, their defense was
13 to
strong.
12.
Again, their defense was strong against a Bucks team that was without half the rotation, and also a Bucks team that is straight up not good at half-court offense. I hope that's also the conclusion people came to when they watched that game, because the Raptors played struggle ball. We described it as prison ball.
Right.
It was like max penitentiary kind of like stuff. Like it was just the worst offense you've ever seen. And I'm not exaggerating for a fact.
It was tough.
I'm describing for accuracy that it was 2 of 23 from the field. It was one of those where I remember we had this conversation one time about how you wanted to keep a printed box score, which happens all the time in the media room.
Oh,
We
yes.
got a printed box score.
Jeremy Lin's first game with the Raptors.
That's right. You wanted to keep that game where I
Yeah.
think he had like 3 of 9 shooting against the Wizards or
Yeah.
something.
You wanted the box score from yesterday.
This is the first time ever, because I never understood why you would want a printout of something you can get at any time. It's the PDF you can just print it out at home. I wanted a fresh from the hot off the press
Mm.
in the Scotiabank Arena media room. I wanted one of those first quarter box scores because
Did you secure it?
I did not secure it because
okay.
in the 600 level they don't really print them up anymore. And I
Yeah.
asked Vivek for one, and he actually just posted he replied with a screenshot of a PDF. Which Vivek, I appreciate you, but obviously I had this as well.
Yeah,
But let me
thanks,
just
V.
read through just the first quarter alone.
Yeah,
okay?
sure.
So the Raptors in total played 60 minutes. Like if you add up all the individual players, 5 times 12, 60, right? They shot a combined 2 of 23 from the field, 0 of 8 from 3. OJ Anunoby 0 of 2, Scotty Barnes 0 of 2, Pascal Siakam 1 of 4, Gary Trent Jr. 0 of 6, Fred VanVleet 1 for 4, Chris Boucher 0 for 3, Precious Achiuwa 0 for 1, Malachi Flynn 0 for 1. How is that even possible? And then it got on to the point where in the second quarter they kept missing again. They kept their defense was keeping them in it,
Mhm.
but they were 2 of 30 at one point. I've watched basketball now very, very heavily for at least 15 years of my life.
You never seen a game
daily
like
I
this.
watch basketball.
You've
And
never seen
when
a
I'm
game
on
like this.
YouTube sometimes I'll watch basketball and just obviously I love this thing. I've never seen that ever in my life.
Mm-mm.
2 of 30 to start a game.
No.
And it wasn't necessarily that it was easy to score on the Bucks. I have to give the Bucks credit defense a lot of credit as well.
Mm.
But even in that 2 of 30, the Raptors only got transition opportunities where they were able to rush their way to the rim. Those were the 2 baskets. Pascal did that once. Fred did that once.
Mhm.
They got to the free throw line a couple of times, right? And Fred was really playing super hard, driving to the rim, getting himself fouled, and just doing anything. But it very much, and I described it in the post-game reaction podcast, your car is stuck. You can't start the car. Everyone sort of took a turn, sitting in the driver's seat, trying to turn the key.
Yeah, I know how that's
And this
like.
01 Honda Civic just won't start. And then Fred just said, screw it. I'm going to get out the car and push the car.
He said, "I'm gonna play De La Soul."
Yeah. So, it was that level. And
Yeah, you said they didn't hit a jumper until the second quarter.
I
right?
was tracking this. The Raptors genuinely didn't hit a jump shot of any kind. I'm not talking just threes. I'm talking about mid-range, anything. OJ Anunoby pulled up from the free throw line at about a 6-minute mark in the second quarter. That was the first jump shot they had made all game.
Yeah.
How is that possible? Well, in an era where you see players going off for 50, 60 points a night and offense is at an all-time, efficiency-wise, a really, really high since I think the 70s and 80s. I was looking at the overall Raptors line the whole night, and at the back of my mind, I was thinking, Donovan Mitchell scored 71 points last week. And will the Raptors as an entire team who declined to trade for Donovan Mitchell score 71 points together as a team? So, I don't know about you, but that was just honestly one of the more hilarious offensive showing. And that you can only laugh, really. I know it's miserable to watch and genuinely embarrassing when it happens on one of the Raptors' only national TV games in the States on ESPN. But people were laughing about it. Richard Jefferson's laughing about it. Stephen A. Smith in the studios yo, you make me work 18 hours a day to watch this?
No, it was baffling.
I'd never seen anything like it. It wasn't just baffling. It was historic.
It was it was a low point of the season for sure.
Oh, man.
And
There's no other way around that.
Somehow, even with the Bucks up by, how much were they up by? 21?
Yeah.
With under 4 minutes left?
Bud literally said 21 points. Can you do something for me? And the Raptors said no. We're going to
Bud, he already brought in the garbage time guys.
He went Antetokounmpo for Antetokounmpo.
Yeah, Thanasis came in, and then he had to call a timeout because the Raptors scored a couple of baskets. But, he brought back in the starters, but the Raptors were still down 11 points with 50 seconds left. And this is when I left the media area to go downstairs to Nick Nurse's press conference.
Yeah.
And
right. So
the Raptors made their run.
Very divergent experiences for the two of us. So the majority of the game, we're sitting in the press box. I'm not going to lie. At certain points, this game was so nasty. You whipped up your laptop and you're like, I have a book to write. I'm going to write about the 1995-1996 Toronto Raptors.
Yeah, I'm going to write about another team that won 21 games.
Oh, no, come on, man. No, they really said 21. Can you do something for me? That's tough. we're gonna kill this joke, and we already have. But
Yeah, I killed it, and then you took it.
yeah, I revived it and then killed it.
It's
again.
all good, man. We'll get through
Just
this.
like the Raptors last night with the game.
Oh boy.
You literally whipped out your PDFs and started writing your stuff, and then as you do, roughly around like the 2-3 minute mark, usually around the last timeout, depending on sort of how the game, if the game's already secured, which last night the game felt like secured.
Yeah, you just want to go downstairs.
You go downstairs.
Avoid
right?
the crowd, and then
it takes
be
a
there
long
for
time
next,
for the elevator to get up
for
there.
next presser. Yeah.
And you want to make sure you're in position because you're a huge pro and you love going to the press conference.
That's right. So 40 seconds left. I said goodbye to you.
Wait, only 40 seconds?
Yeah. There was 40 seconds, like 40, 50 seconds. They were down 11.
Yeah.
I think the Bucks were going to shoot free throws. I head downstairs. There's still a bit of a wait to get downstairs. I go to the media room where there's a TV there.
Yeah.
By the time I get there, it's a 3-point game.
Yes.
So I think I missed like that 6-point play. I missed all of that. Right?
Yeah. Meanwhile, I was up there with Liban and JR.
Yeah.
And we were going nuts.
Right.
Like we didn't believe that they were really going to make this comeback.
Yeah.
But we were going nuts at every single play.
Right.
You know what I mean? You were the fans who left early to avoid traffic.
Yeah.
And I was the fan who was like, I paid $200 or $300 for this. I need to see every moment of it.
So So I'm in the media room, and that's when Pascal forces that turnover.
Yes.
And now I'm like, oh damn.
So then you actually came all the way back upstairs.
No. So what I did was I went to the tunnel on the floor level.
Oh,
and I
the
walked
Messiah
out
Bobby spot?
the other side. So I walked out out into the tunnel, and I was basically kind of behind the Bucks bench.
Got you.
And that's where I watched Gary's shot.
What was the Bucks bench saying? Give me AJ Green's reaction.
Yeah, I think they just all like put their hands on their head, and when Gary hit the shot, it was just everyone was just in shock.
Yeah. No, Gary hit 2 shots. He had a 6-point play.
Yeah, but this was his game tying shot. So he tied it.
Yeah.
And I found out too, all the media members were watching in the press room.
Yeah, no, I totally get it.
Because the game was over.
Again, that's how it goes. Like you really have to make those business decisions.
No, you talk about the start of the game being historic.
The end of the game was also
so
historic.
was the end of the game, and the middle was a nothing burger.
Oh,
and
again, the amount of times you just kept saying this is prison ball, and then turn back to writing about
this
I don't know, Damon Stoudemire.
This is a nothing. This was a nothing burger game for the whole time.
Yeah,
but I mean, a historic start and a historic comeback. They had 12 points in the first 15 minutes of the game, and somehow had 28 points in the last 3 minutes to make the comeback. But then they go into overtime, and it was kind of like back to the start of the game, I guess.
Yep.
Both teams were struggling to score.
Yep.
And then on the game deciding play, Giannis drives to the basket.
5 guys converged.
5 guys converged.
And this is why I feel a little bit bad, because I think when you only see it once or twice when you're in the arena and then you go live on the show and you really just describe what happened, my thinking was Fred pulled off the shooter. He shouldn't have done that. His help did not affect the play ultimately, and it left the shooter wide open. And, of course, he holds some responsibility for that. It's a huge play that you didn't make at the end of the game, right? I think I called it in the post-game reaction podcast, defensive hero ball, right?
Right.
And I recalled the other time where it happened against Brooklyn this year, like way back in October. But then when I watched the playback 100 times, because, it was on social all the time, I realized that every single Raptor left every single shooter open, and that if Giannis had passed in a different direction, which also he didn't, right? But everyone else made that same decision. So I don't want to single out Fred for that play, because I think that would be a little bit unfair in terms of his defensive decision. However, ultimately, you have to stay at least somewhat in your shooter. If you're going to help and come over and commit to that, I get it. You're trying to win the game. You're trying to force a turnover, which is apparently the only way the Raptors get stops these days. But you need to then get the turnover. You cannot come over and do that and then not even affect the passing angle, because Fred ultimately comes and helps. He's on the outside of Giannis, whereas Giannis wraps around baseline. And it's a phenomenal pass, right? And I gave Giannis tons of credit for it, because over the course of the game, the number of errant passes this guy just whips the ball.
Didn't he hit one of the Raptors coaches?
He literally smoked Jamal Magloire in the face with a pass in the second row of this, because Jamal's not the first row coaches, right? That's Nick, that's Earl Watson, that's Trevor Gleason.
That's tier 1.
Yeah. No, he smoked the tier 2 media member. He honestly, the next pass from Giannis would have hit us in the 600s. Like, he was throwing that thing all over the place, except for when it really mattered on the last play.
That was a beautiful pass.
Beautiful strike.
He's falling out of bounds too.
He's got 5 guys on him.
And he's falling out of bounds.
It literally looked like that infamous photo of Liverpool trying to defend Lionel Messi, which, by the way, 4-0.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, like that was a bad play.
Yeah.
And then offensively, you were like, okay, the Raptors now need 3 to tie this game. And I'm just like, look, I know we just saw some miracles, but this 3 ain't coming. Because as soon as the Raptors drew up their play, when they have Fred by themselves in the backcourt, I'm like, okay, this play is for Fred.
Mm-hmm.
The inbound is Scotty. We've seen this play a million times with DeMar, with JV, with Kyle, with whoever, right? I've seen it with Patrick Patterson before, right? So I know exactly what this play is going to come up. And then Fred rushes in the front court. The Bucks really switched everything and defended it really well. And then Fred ultimately has to throw up a last-second prayer just to avoid the shot clock violation.
Yeah.
Throws it up against Bobby Portis, and of course, it had no chance of going in. And yeah, I mean, we're back here again. You know, the fan base is looking for people to blame. I totally get it. It was a frustrating game, but ultimately, for me, I'm just like, man, the chaos of this season and just how much negativity and how much people are looking to blame. I get it, man. I totally get it. That's probably the only way to cope, but it's almost to me like if you're gonna at least survive the rest of this season, and if you're gonna go in a tanking direction, probably the rest of next season and the next 2-3 seasons, just getting into camps and sort of blaming people is just, I don't know. It's probably not ultimately that productive. You know, I think that, and again, like that's not me trying to say no one should blame Fred or anything like that. You should hold Fred accountable for the fact that he left the shooter wide open and then missed the 3 right afterwards, right? But yeah, I mean, it's tough. And you can look at a lot of guys. I thought Pascal had his worst game of the season.
Yeah, 4 of 18.
4 of 18. And it's not to say that, okay, just go out there and dominate Giannis and Brook Lopez, right? Like that's about as hard of a defense as it is. But to me, when I watched it, there were some, and honestly, he actually got a lot of good looks off, like contested rush looks, but he's been so good around the basket. He just missed a lot of shots. But it was kind of striking to me, and one of my takeaways from watching just really briefly the film today, because I couldn't really stomach watching the whole game again, was just like how easily Scotty was able to, or not how easily, but how composed Scotty was in his drives in the fourth quarter and overtime. And obviously he had 0 points for the first 42 minutes, and then he really turned it on and started scoring. How composed and how much strength and how strong he went up with some of his takes against a Brook Lopez, against a Giannis, versus when Pascal was trying to do his sort of moves. And to me, it was like one thing that, even though we all know Pascal is much more advanced as a scorer, as a creator of shots at the rim this season, as compared to Scotty, but Pascal still sometimes will go through more of the out quick a guy, you know, jump off the wrong foot, throw up the quick shot, or spin around, right? And that just leads to a lot of more like less controlled shots. Whereas with Scotty, he really only has like 1 or 2 moves around the basket, in the sense that like he's really looking to use that hook shot. Most of the buckets he scored last night was the hook shot. He mixed in a floater. He got a little putback layup and stuff like that. All that other stuff is there for him. I'm not saying he only has that hook shot, but that's primarily what he looks for. But the way he gets to the rim, where he's able to, obviously last night, as we completely anticipated, Brook Lopez sagged off him the whole game, right? And to be honest, you would have wanted to see him attack a lot more. And this isn't a thing where it's to me, it's not a Nick thing. It's not a teammates thing. When everyone's struggling on offense, you got to do whatever it is to be aggressive and try to break that deadlock, right? And I just didn't see that push from Scotty. He wasn't affecting the defense, and he wasn't really parlaying that advantage off. I thought in the Indiana game, he started slow as well, but he was generating space for other guys because he was looking to initiate. This game, I didn't feel like he was looking to, he didn't put enough pressure on the defense for me, despite the way he was being covered. And he should be the one putting that defense on, the pressure on the defense, because he's getting ignored. But in the fourth quarter, when he started eliminating the space, going at Lopez, and it wasn't like he was blowing past him. It wasn't like he was just dunking on him. But the way he's able to throw his shoulder into a guy like Brook Lopez, who is genuinely a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, and he did such a good job affecting and forcing misses out of Pascal, the way Scotty was able to just bump Brook Lopez, one of the strongest defenders in the league, and still go out for calm, composed hook shots, is an actual eye-opening piece of talent for me, that a really gifted scorer like Pascal Siakam, who has worked his way to getting to be this crafty and all that kind of stuff, struggled more with that coverage than a guy like Scotty, who obviously isn't nearly as far along the developmental curve because he hasn't had the same time. But he still has that raw, basic talent of saying, even though I have less tools to work with, I can get the shot off. And to me, that was one of the bigger differences. And it was just like, if you could have taken Pascal's aggressiveness and the way Pascal tried to own the whole situation, and look, it's my team, we're struggling, I got to do something to get us out of it. If Scotty showed more of that initiative earlier in the game, you would have wanted to see that. And I think from Pascal's perspective, you would have wanted to see more of that composed strength element that Scotty showed in his finishes at the basket. I was curious to think about like what you thought of the two guys.
Yeah, I think, you know, I don't know, like what I don't know just what the cause of. I think it's just too many games for Scotty this year, where it feels like he's just taken a long time in game to kind of figure things out. And I don't know what the cause of that is. Like, it just seems like he's
Well,
always trying to kind of problem solve, and then the problem solving comes in like the second half of games.
do you think it's because I think that's one part of it, right? Like he maybe tries to suss out how the game is going and see where
Sure.
it fits. I think the other part I think some people have pointed to is, is Nick not doing a better job of getting him involved? To be honest, I thought Scotty got the ball plenty in terms of just over the flow of the game. He
Hmm.
just wasn't even looking at the rim. To be honest, it was, and a lot of people commented on how weird the atmosphere in the arena was last night. And it was weird. Like, obviously, I mean, the Raptors also played terribly. So people were like, what are we watching?
Mm.
Okay, when you shoot 2 of 30, I can't blame anyone for being like, this is weird. But it was weird to me that in the fourth quarter, when Scotty was still stuck on 0, that there were moments where he held the ball at the top of the floor and the crowd was getting antsy. They were like,
Right.
shoot. You could hear like murmurs of people saying shoot,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I think for me, it's just like, especially in this offense, and sure, like Nick can call an outright post up and put him, but he doesn't do that for most of the
Mm-hmm.
game. That's actually not how he manages the rest of the game. And if you want to say that that's how he should manage the whole team, I wouldn't disagree with you. The Raptors offense can need whatever direction it gets, but there's so many opportunities in this offense where, especially when they're doing dribble handoffs and it includes Scotty at the top of the floor, he has that option to drive and attack every single time. If Brook Lopez has a hard time containing you at the rim
Mm.
on drives, then you should be driving at 99.9% of NBA players,
Mm.
right? If Miles Turner, another really good shot blocker, struggles to contend with your shots and your drives at the end of a game, you should do that over the course of the game. And again, I don't think the whole game needs to come down to, okay, Scotty Barnes drives at Brook Lopez one-on-one and scores a hook shot over it. I do think the Bucks will eventually adjust and bring a help and all that other stuff. But I do think that it's something where you could put it a little bit on coaching, you could put it a little bit on his teammates or whatever, but ultimately the responsibility comes down to me, at least, for Scotty to see that kind of defense and just say, screw it. Like, you want me to take this shot? No, I won't take this shot, but because I know I'm not great at the catch and shoot three, or even the pull up 3-point shooting, or even if you leave me wide open, I'm not great at just catching and shooting that shot because it's a harder shot than most players. I think it looks harder. It is harder than it looks. Is the point, right? But it's up to him ultimately to take that responsibility on and show that aggression. And it's a mindset thing. And it's like, if you can do that more over the course of the game, and that's where the maturation for a 21-year-old has to come in. This is not like, I've seen even theories, like there's like a pecking order kind of thing. Shouts to Real GM for that one. But it's like, it's not that. For him, he has the advantage and he's got to go take it. And what was disappointing to me watching the first half was, even though the Raptors were struggling so much on offense, the lack of ownership of OG Anunoby and a lack of ownership from Scotty Barnes to take on that responsibility of, we're going to get out and push this car. I didn't see that. I saw Fred try to do that. I saw Pascal do it. They were at their limits, and they are at their limits. And ultimately, as players, sometimes, and Pascal keeps reinventing his limit a little bit, but we still saw the limits of that. I wanted to see the other guys come out and own it as well. Gary was owning it as well. He just wasn't making shots either. You can't disengage from the offense. And I'm really happy that he was re-engaged. And I hope when he watches the film of what he did, he might realize, I have this advantage all the time. And I want to distribute, I want to create. Those are aspects that all the coaches and all the players want to see continue. But that scoring element, especially on this team, especially on that night when no one can throw the ball into the ocean, that he can try to take over a little bit sooner. That invitation is always there. Like, if you ask Nick Nurse, Scotty has the green light all the time to attack and drive.
Mm.
So I do think that he can get more of that. But,
Yeah, I mean, bench gave you 7 points again last night. And I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know what else to say about this roster.
yeah.
I mean, we've highlighted the inconsistencies, the players underperforming, I think. 16 and 22 on the season.
Yeah. Oh, no. I mean,
So,
if you, for me, like, this is where, again, divergent paths, because for me, after I did the reaction podcast last night, and I think I went live until about 11:15, maybe 11:20-ish. And typically what happened afterwards is I would pack up all my stuff, and me and producer JR would walk to Union Station, and we'd take the, subway home and stuff like that, right? And usually on that subway, I'm writing down 10 things, and I'm like, I usually get through like 8 or 9 of those before I get home. So last night, didn't write 10 things
mm,
because I didn't think it was necessary. And second of all, I don't think I was even in a good like emotional space because as a fan, because we joke about this sometimes with Matt Devlin. Every time he comes up, he's like, "Are you okay, son?" and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
were you not okay?
I was
Sure.
not okay. I literally
Damn,
sat up
man.
there. JR's like, "Yo, we're going to Union." And I'm like, "Nah, man.
Damn.
I'm gonna just sit here. I'm
Yeah.
going to just," and I just sat in that empty arena with all the people who were just the staffers just working in the arena to clean up all the mess and sort of install the hockey,
Yeah.
all that stuff. I was just sitting in that arena
Damn,
for
man.
30 minutes afterwards, just by myself, just thinking about how that game went.
Yeah.
And you know what? It did feel a little bit silly as like a grown 30-year-old to just be like, yeah, I'm really sad about my basketball team
Yeah, you're
lost.
30 now.
But like, man, like I was devastated after that kind of game.
Of
Like it's
course.
just such an emotional roller coaster. And at the
Yeah.
end of it, you think about it, and there's no other conclusion other than the Raptors just aren't good enough.
Yeah, that's the
There's
hardest
no
thing.
other conclusion.
It's the hardest thing to kind of accept that about the
When
team
you try
that
your
you're
very
for.
best and you
it's
don't
not-
succeed,
and it's still not good enough. No, it's true though.
nah, man, it's
Show
time for
some-
Messiah
show some
Bobby to put on
Coldplay.
"Fix You," man.
Show some Coldplay. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I trust me. I hear you. It's been a really
Yeah.
it's been a really frustrating season, and I think aside from the excitement of the comeback in the last minute yesterday, yesterday's game has revealed what I think we've seen in the past 4 or 5 weeks about this team. And I think it reached a point probably for you, and I think a lot of people are aware that
Yeah.
this team's not good enough.
Yeah, the Raptors scored 101 points in regulation plus overtime on 116 shots.
Yeah, well,
How is that even possible? in
trade
the modern
deadline
NBA?
is February 9th.
February 9th, 1 month away.
So coming soon. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Hope you're okay though. Damn.
Yeah. No, I'm okay. The morning after, I'm actually fine.
Yeah.
I went to see a good friend of mine, shout out Jessica,
Nice.
from high school, and we caught up and we had jianbing.
Oh,
Okay.
nice. Yeah.
We had a very
Chinese
we had a very
is that what they
Beijing
call it?
breakfast.
Chinese pancakes?
They
That's
call
how
it
they
a
advertise it, right?
crepe? The
Yeah,
thing is-
Chinese crepe.
The thing is, a crepe is a really bad way to describe jianbing because a crepe is almost all, like, to me at least, a crepe is usually like a sweet item.
Right.
And Chinese crepes are exclusively savory.
Yeah,
So
well-
I had like a spicy crawfish crepe, which was actually
Oh, that
quite
sounds
nice.
great, man.
Then I had
Damn.
again, I don't know how to say this really.
Yeah.
In English, like a tofu soup, I suppose.
Okay.
But in Chinese, it's tofu. No, everyone knows what this
Oh,
is.
this
if you're
sounds
from the
this
north.
sounds like an X-Man meal to me right
Oh
now.
man, I was having the X-Men breakfast
Banter
with
pod
Jessica.
coming soon.
Oh, the banter pod's gonna be elite, by the way. The worse the Raptors
Introducing-
get, the banter pod gets so much better.
Introducing the X-Men. What was the discussion about cheesecake yesterday in the media room?
So maybe he's listening, maybe he's not. But my friend Natty was telling me on New Year's Eve that a cheesecake is actually not a cake. When you really
Oh.
think about it, it's not a cake; it's a tart.
Yeah, that's cool.
Maybe
All
we'll
right,
discuss
save
that with Lindsay.
Yeah, save that
actually,
for
after the
February
break.
10th. Yeah.
Yeah,
Save that for after the trade deadline. Anyways, Raptors lose 104-101.
yeah, they lose again. And to be
Normal
honest,
score.
no one wants. It's one of those games where it's like you watch that and you see them lose and you see them struggle like that, and you're like, I want to see something different. And that probably means I want to see different players. And Bobby and Masai were in that tunnel, man. I kept looking over at them. They're in that tunnel at the start of the game, and they're watching 0-15 from the field.
You think
They're
Rob
watching-
Pelinka was texting Bobby being like, yo,
Well, you just kept saying Bobby was on his phone the whole time.
I mean, they're on their phone all the time at this time, so there's no like speculation about
Yeah.
it. But I just like to think that Rob Pelinka was like, you still had 0 points. Sure, you don't want to bring OG into these conversations.
Yeah. Well,
I just wonder if GMs troll other GMs.
Oh, are you
Like-
kidding me?
like,
You
I
have
think
to, man.
that would be so fun
Yeah.
to just hear about. Anyways,
As you always tried to say to Bobby in the offseason
Yeah.
whenever you ran into him,
Yeah.
show me your phone.
I was
Remember
trying-
when the KD rumors are happening and you literally pulled up on him and were like, show me your phone. He was trying to dap us up and say hi. And you're like, no, show me your phone.
Yeah,
and
we
he
haven't-
literally left.
we haven't talked since. Coincidence? Who knows?
Yeah. Well, all right, we're going to take a break. I'm your host, Willu. That's Alex Wong. You're listening to The Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. Welcome back to the Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. I'm your host, Wim Liu. I continue to be joined by producer and co-host Alex Wong, and we are joined in studio by Lindsay Dunn of City News, friend of the program. What's going on, Lindsay?
Just loving some great basketball that we had yesterday.
Excellent
I'm
basketball.
So sorry.
Excellent.
Oh, wow. I still can't believe that we witnessed that moment in Raptors history.
I'm sure people in the States were also like, I can't believe what I'm seeing. I think Joel Embiid literally said this is like...
Yeah, he was like, what's going on?
Yeah. Joel Embiid was looking at the game like, Joel hates the Toronto Raptors. You know that. And this only reinforced that notion.
It was...
What do you think Serge was thinking watching that, man?
Okay, we didn't even get to this.
The tribute, what happened yesterday?
So Serge got his tribute video at the start of the second quarter.
Second tribute video now for Serge Ibaka, because when the Clippers came to Toronto last season,
Empty arena,
they showed the tribute video for, I guess, the staff.
I clapped. Yep.
Oh, you were there?
there.
Okay. Okay. So it was weird. He saw that one. This one, at the end of the first quarter, the Raptors showed the tribute video again, which, Alex, what was in that tribute video?
It was 80% off-court content.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was like highlights of like Serge hitting threes and dunking. Somehow his three over Ben Simmons.
Yeah, I was waiting for that.
Didn't make it into the clip, so I don't understand. That's the biggest shot Serge has ever hit for us. Obviously, tons of big plays, but it was 80% like Serge wearing long trench coats,
a
and
scarf, talking about art.
Yeah,
yeah.
And it was a great tribute video. And the arena was getting ready to stand up and applaud Serge Ibaka.
He wasn't there.
He literally wasn't. What happened? Do you know the story, Lindsay? Like, why was he in there?
Like, it added to the weirdness that happened in that first quarter of just nobody making baskets. And, hey, let's stand up for Serge. And then they couldn't find him on the bench to put him on there. And so I'm laughing. So I'm like, what's happening? And I heard that they couldn't find him. And so at this point, I'm laughing so hard, I'm crying. Like, there's no way this is real life right now. We're watching a comedy. Yeah. Somebody is punking us or whatever right now. But, like, that just added to it all.
Feel bad for Serge.
So they're going to have to make another
they have to do it.
highlight video for Serge the next time he's here and force him to watch it. Because I guess the Raptors went 0 of 24 from the first quarter last night there because they missed Serge as well.
Wow.
I feel bad for Serge because he would have gotten a huge ovation.
I know.
On the Jumbotron.
Where was he?
He was probably in the back, like working out or something, riding a bike.
He's like, I know I'm not going to play today.
Shooting another episode of one of his shows.
Yeah, Jordy, if you're listening, tell me.
No, actually.
Give us the tea.
Yeah, Rolson made it into the highlight videos.
Yeah, Rolson did as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
that was
cool.
interesting, too, though. You're right, though. I was like, there's so much happening, not basketball related, in that tribute video, which was kind of rare. It's like,
but I think that's where Serge really made his mark with the fan base, too.
Totally.
Right?
When the pandemic hit, he did that Instagram Live all the time. With
when he was working out at home, too.
Did he host a variety show?
He did, and it was, people, I think, either won money or something like that. So he kept people engaged. So a lot of people that didn't even like basketball liked him because of this.
Yeah, shows to Serge. Yeah, weird night.
Weird night. I've never seen a tribute video for a guy who was in the building, just wasn't physically on the bench for the tribute. I'm sorry. Do it again one more time, man. Third time's the charm.
Was that the weirdest Raptors game? That had to be, right?
Of the season?
Because I know we were talking off air quickly just about when the building caught on fire last year when they played the Pacers.
So I've covered the team 8 years in person.
Yeah.
And the fire last year, like that, you're wondering, like, what is happening right now? This is crazy. And we were able to stay and watch the game, and that was interesting. But this, by far, was the weirdest game NBA game that I've ever witnessed, because both teams just missing so many shots. And then probably one of the worst games I've ever seen. Then it goes to overtime from, like, Gary hitting that, and then it's, like, Brick City again. And it's just, I've never seen so many missed shots. And I hope we never see that again. As funny as it was in the moment, because, hey, the Raptors didn't score for, 6 minutes to start the game. And then they score in a free throw, and the crowd goes nuts when Pascal hits it.
And, of course, he split the free throws, too.
How hungry people were.
Yeah, it was 7-1. I took a screenshot of the scoreboard because I don't think I'm ever going to see that again.
No,
it was 7-1 like the World Cup.
I was like, just put the giant Raptor mascot in there at this point.
Yeah, I honestly think.
No, I really don't think you guys or any of us ever gonna see a game start and finish like that.
Yeah.
Like ever again. That's why we do this, you know?
Not even trying to slander the team, but do you think, because the Raptor mascot does the half-court shot where he flips it over his head?
No, what are we doing?
If you gave the Raptor 23 half-court overhead shots, do you think he would have made more than 2?
Yes.
Okay, so.
Yeah. We
Sub
could
him in.
probably get him to try it.
That should be the next
Actually do
halftime
it.
show. By the way, the halftime show, shout out to Simon Says. That was a really good halftime show.
Oh, that's the first time you've seen him?
That's the first time I've seen him.
didn't-
Yeah.
I
He's
thought
pretty
he was
popular.
so mean yesterday.
Oh yeah, he
Yeah.
was
He
getting
was
people out for
aggressive.
nothing.
He was
Yeah.
calling them out for nothing. That I was in shock, but it was still fun. I could never do that. I obviously would have been out at the first moment where he's like, "Put your hands up." I would have put my hands up.
Oh yeah.
I'm the worst at that game.
Yeah.
Just added also him and how mean I thought he was added to the whole game experience.
Yeah.
Wonderful
But I will
game.
say the only time sometimes after the game there can be a beer involved when you're writing your post game or whatever is happening.
Sure.
And only once have ever taken that, and that
Mm.
was when the fire happened because it's
Right.
like, what is happening right
Yeah.
now? Yesterday, after that first quarter, I'm like, today I would love to have a beer, but I don't drink because if I sniff alcohol, I'm 3 sheets to the wind. I can't handle my alcohol, but that was
Wait, hold on. What does 3 sheets to the wind mean?
you're
Yeah.
just loaded.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Also a
We're
great
learning.
Is this
Yes.
a Saskatchewan thing?
I heard it in a
Yeah.
great country song by the Holy Gamblers and
Okay,
all of
all
and
right.
so
The
I
Holy
think so.
Gamblers.
No, man.
That's us right here. Shouts Ennis Esmer.
No, I just went back to ESL real quick. Actually, I was like, wait, huh?
Yeah, there's
How does Canada work?
Yeah, there's a band called Holy Gamblers.
Oh,
Specs. Anyways, more good news. Pascal All-Star voting, first fan returns are out.
yes.
Pascal Siakam is 6th amongst the Eastern Conference front court. So,
Yeah.
vote more.
I mean,
use the
definitely.
hashtag more.
I mean, I think, yeah, I obviously you would probably want to see that number higher, but at the same time, ranking wise, 6, it's not out of line. Obviously, Jimmy Butler has a lot of fans. He's been a star for a longer time,
Mhm.
and he's done some incredible things over the course of his career. Jason Tatum being ahead of him, Joel Embiid, Giannis, and Kevin Durant as the top 4. There's nobody should crack that list. I mean, we all know those are better players than Pascal Siakam.
Yeah, I think we all
But-
know. I think Pascal will be there, but it'll be there as a reserve.
I thought so
as a
too,
coach's
yeah.
selection.
But man, I mean, when you look at it though, the list of forwards in the Eastern Conference is just unfair, man. Unfair.
yeah, not to be not to be
Wow.
Magic Johnson, but looking at this list, there's just a lot of talent in the league right now. No, there really is. Like
Great
it's
reference.
it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anyways,
How do you think we can get more votes for Pascal? If you were to sort of quickly
the thing
engineer.
is, I feel like Pascal's
campaign.
fandom is very contained within just like the Raptors.
Sure. Yeah.
Whereas a lot of these other players, you can't compare them to like a Giannis or KD, but
they have signature shoes.
no,
and
but these
stuff,
are
yeah.
like international stars, and they've got fans outside of just the teams that they play for.
I saw someone come to the game last night with a big Cameroonian flag. Shout out to him.
Oh, okay. But I think Pascal's fan base is very contained,
I agree.
like
yeah.
within like the Raptors fan base.
But we've also seen the Raptors vote people in before. Remember, when
Yeah.
Justin Bieber and Drake were kind of
Yeah, when the team was good.
voting for Kyle and
Yeah.
DeMar. I think that's the part too.
That's
I
the
know.
part,
Who
right?
would the Biebs vote for this year?
What's up with Justin Bieber these days? I don't hear much from him, man.
He's at the Leafs game randomly sometime. Maybe he'll be there tonight, but it's like with Giannis, something also we see more of their personality sometime. I love the dad joke thing that he's been doing in
Oh,
post game.
yeah.
Some people hate that, and I think
No,
that's
Giannis
hilarious. So
is
then that
great.
also appeals to, you're right,
Mhm.
the fan base outside of the Raptors.
Yeah, it's hard being funny in a second language. If I were to tell a joke in Chinese, it wouldn't hit. So,
Oh, okay. Just try that
You
on the
wanna try
banter
it?
pod.
No.
No.
Actually,
Yeah.
you know what? Banter pot, I might try it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're down for anything right now.
I'm down for anything. Not
Just not
That-
watching that game yesterday.
that game
ever
is so
again.
bad.
No.
I'm sorry. If people wanted to tank after the game, completely understand.
No, we legit using this segment just to chat with you, just make you feel better and stuff.
Should have brought it. Could have brought in Matt Devlin too. Matt Devlin's always just "Are you okay, Will?"
I didn't want to
We
go
worry
get.
about your mental state.
I
'cause you
didn't want to
cover the
go get a
Raptors.
bubble tea today.
I thought about you after. I hope he's okay.
I was
I
actually-
hope you're okay.
It was
It was
not.
funny when you think of it.
He has
I was
one.
not.
He has one of these once a year. Yeah.
Let it go, man.
The
No.
one.
It
Let
happens.
this be the one.
It happens once a year.
You can't make this whole team your life and then not go ups and downs with the team.
Yeah. No, we have this conversation once a year.
Yeah. But it's just basketball.
It's all good, man.
Yeah.
Anyways, Gary Trent Jr. Hit the game tying 3
That's right.
last night.
Moment,
Very exciting.
moment.
And I know Lindsay. You recently had a chance to chat with Gary about his fashion. Before we dive into some of these things, let us know how did this idea come about, and then how did it go when you met up with him at practice?
Thank you for asking, because I'll be honest, I was terrified to do this interview when I pitched it.
Mm.
The reason I thought about it is a long time ago, he had this photo on his Instagram of him when he was younger wearing this little blue suit. And I thought, I was like, that's adorable. And then I saw that, he enjoys expressing himself.
He's
through
very
fashion.
intentional
Yeah,
with his
yeah,
dressing.
Yeah. And so I was like, hey, I'm going to try it. And
Mhm.
there was a point in November I wanted to do this, but he was getting some pretty harsh media
Right.
and some comments that it did not suit the time. And it was right after Christmas. And like,
Once again, everything's derailed when the team is not good.
Oh, I remember this. It
Yeah.
was it not on Boxing Day? I think I was at the practice too that day. Yeah.
And so I
Right.
thought I would try this.
Yeah.
And I told my camera guy and the audio guy I'm like, I have a feeling this is either going to really bomb because why would they be in the mood to talk about this right now? I want to get to know Gary. It's not just about fashion. I want to know some more of his personality because for the most part, if you watch post games, he's not very vocal. Like, and I get it. Why would you want to talk to me or half of us half the time when we ask questions?
Yeah.
And so I could see him not wanting to come do the interview. And I whispered to the camera guy, I'm like, oh, this is not going to go well. He does not want to do this. So he comes over and I just was straight with him like, Gary, I'll be honest. I just want to have fun and talk to you about this. This is like a safe space, but I will be honest, we're going to talk about fashion. I have no idea if the terms are clean, fit, drip, whatever it is. And he just broke down laughing.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, quote, like Walt Frazier, you've been styling and profiling. I just want you to talk about it.
Yeah.
And I think that broke the
Three
ice for
sheets
him.
to the wind type joint. Type
To
beat.
see
No, I still
how
don't understand what that means. I'm sorry.
it just means you're really loaded. Like you're gone.
Really?
You've
Yeah.
had too many beverages, some bubblies, whatever you want. Like if you're drunk.
Our
and-
producer says it's a reference to sales.
Oh.
Like 3 sales.
Okay, I've
three
only, well
sheets.
now I know this.
Yeah.
I've just noticed you being tanked.
Yeah.
We're learning a lot here today.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
It's a barn burner.
Yes,
I've always been
burner.
trying to figure that one out too.
ESL didn't have that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
sorry.
Anyways, so
yeah.
you were describing
So
all the
I was
terms of them.
terrified, and so he comes up, and then finally, I just show him the first photo on an iPad, and it's him when he was younger having this, and I was like, "Tell me what baby Gary was thinking," and that like just broke him down. And I thought it was fun. There's so much parts that didn't air in it. Like we spoke about his pregame fits in Montreal or what he was like as a kid, because like, were you a shy kid?
Yeah. Was he a shy kid?
No, he said I would talk so much they actually would tell him to shut up, and he had a lot of energy and was like the life of the party and super energetic. And I thought that this interview, and the only reason it was anything is because Gary let himself be Gary. And I think that's the side of him we're not seeing, is he is pretty outgoing. He likes to joke. He has some dance moves that every once in a while he'll show.
Yeah.
So thankfully, Gary was open to the idea, and he just broke down some of his outfits and kind of made fun of the fact I had an iPad. I loved every moment. But after
he's still
like
23, I'm sorry.
it was great just to have a conversation with him. Like we actually spoke for 10 minutes, and there wasn't a lull, and there was a lot of laughter. And he says like he likes to express himself through fashion because, you know, when you're on the court, like you can express yourself so much, but that's kind of the only other moment where you can kind of let people see that you're you, and he dresses to how he feels that day.
Yeah, no, the personality I think really shines through both in the interview, which I think is a great job by you because obviously, as you mentioned, he is very reserved in a lot of interviews. So getting him to open up was really awesome to see. We got to understand and know Gary more, which is I've always complimented you on this. I really do think that you get us closer to the athletes and the players, which is just, you know, from one journalist to another, like just a really great job on that. But also I think that like your approach to it really made, you know, that space for Gary where he was really comfortable talking about it. And, you know, I think, yeah, for a lot of people following the sports, I know people are like, let's tank, let's do this. And I get it, man. I'm very hardcore about this too. But I think for a lot of other people, they're like, let's follow this team. And I like them as human beings. And I think it's always very cool when the players show and express their personalities. And in the case of Gary, I think for a lot of NBA stars, because we see a lot of NBA guys really dress up now, they have stylists. But Gary says he's got no stylist.
Yeah, which that was one of the questions. I was like, do you have a stylist?
Yeah.
Like, I know.
How do you have time to get this towel over yourself and decide on that's what I'm going to wear tonight?
I tried to I actually messaged Alex before. I'm like, I don't know how to approach this because some of the looks like fashion is so subjectable. Like people hate what I wear half the time. And I'm like, I don't care. Go subscribe to like
you got
www,
fits,
like I don't care.com.
We need to start Lindsay Dunn fits. Yeah. Like Willu fits.
But when
follow Willu fits.
Oh my gosh.
On IG.
Yes.
Just don't
That's
respond because don't DM me.
Don't
DM him all the
it's
time.
gonna be
He'll
Alex telling you
respond.
it's Alex.
If he responds, if not, people just get mad at you. You know, we'll see.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was interesting. And that one look, like it was in Philly where he had
This is the poncho, right?
the poncho from Kensington Marketing. He talks about how he thrift shops. Like I personally thought it looked like he took the carpet that Aladdin and Jasmine were wearing, or like on in that movie Magic Carpet and Aladdin, and he put it over him.
That's legit a 3 sheet to the wind.
Yeah.
No, he was wearing 3 sheets in the game. Oh
And
my
so
God.
it's like, it's just,
No, that was a really cool.
fun.
That was a really cool tidbit. And for people that want to check out actually the video and then the photos and the articles, go to Lindsey Dunn's Twitter. Lindsey Dunn
Of
TV,
course.
or go to City News. Just look up the Gary Trent Jr. I think you should check it out. But yeah, the Kensington
Okay, so
market
Alex,
tidbit.
since you also do a lot of vintage shopping, what store was that? People want to know.
yeah.
I don't know what the store is, but I think there's a lot of good spots at Kensington. There's like a vintage depot where you can find a lot of this kind of old, kind of specific things.
Right.
And you can do like DIY stuff with it.
You think Gary cut, because he probably bought the rug and he cut the
Yeah,
the head
and
hole
listen,
himself.
I have literally seen Gary like in that area,
Yes.
and he's a very like noticeable person, especially when he's wearing a head to toe camouflage bape. Like that's
well, to
Gary
be fair,
Trent.
there's
Jr.
a lot of Asians in that area, so he wouldn't be the only one.
You know what he does? If he
He
throws
fits on Spadina,
if he
is what I'm
throws on
trying
the
to say.
off-white belt and then the Balenciaga shoes, then he would fit right in. But
Nah, he looked like everybody at Heidi Lau. Sorry.
just highly loud. But yeah, like I've literally seen him in that area,
Yeah.
so it checks out that he shops there, and I think it's cool because, like again, like you talked about how like a lot of guys now have like stylists and stuff,
Yeah.
and it's cool that he just like gives his own thought and creativity to it.
Mhm. Yeah.
And
It's
that-
something he enjoys, right? Like I
oh,
think
very much so.
because I think a lot of NBA guys too these days, and I don't know if Gary's part of this, but it's like they want to do it for the attention too, right?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of accounts that'll feature them, and then
Yeah, sure.
you get spotlighted and stuff. But it feels like Gary, this is just like a passion, the same way that you're passionate about
Passion
ball,
for
you know?
fashion.
Like if he gets a bad fit off, he'll sit in the locker room half an hour after the game and think about
Well,
it.
luckily he's never had a bad fit, to be honest. Well, last year when he had the reversible cardigan and he wore one side of the cardigan I was against the Bucks. The Raptors beat the Bucks.
I
last year.
asked him about that too.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
even
what'd he
there,
say?
so I was just like, I was joking, like, do you ever get chilly? Because part of his look is like
Yeah.
he doesn't wear a shirt
Yeah.
underneath, which he did not.
And the arena's cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but
and,
he flipped the cardigan
and
at
he flipped
halftime.
it. I was like,
Like,
I don't know the term. Like
that's
that was
when
a
that's
baller
when the
move.
vibe
He was
shifted.
not listening during
Oh,
that,
okay,
and
okay.
then post game, and then or during
'Cause-
halftime when Nick was talking, he's like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go flip my cardigan. That's not what he said.
No, because I
but-
just imagine Nick like doing like halftime film session.
He's like, all right, guys.
And meanwhile,
they're dropping on the
Gary's
pick
just
and roll here. We're gonna need to
topless
run
on the
this dribble head
side,
up.
flipping his cardigan. Pure 3 sheets to the wind behavior, man.
But
yeah.
if they wouldn't have lost though on Monday, I'll say there's even some moments where I photoshopped some of the teammates' faces on Gary's
Oh, okay.
looks.
Ooh.
But that
But
was,
be-
but that
but
was
because-
called off.
But because
Yeah.
they lost, like that'll be for another
yeah.
day when there's a little bit more joy surrounding the team. But anyways,
Yeah.
just shout out for Gary, not Jerry. But
Oh, I thought you were going to
Gary.
say Jerry Maguire, a.k.a. the story you
Yeah,
did
right.
on Jafar.
Oh, that was a great story as well.
yeah.
I was reading
Oh,
that
man.
last night.
The Jerry Maguire.
Shouts to Jafar. No, I think
Yeah.
I think it was cool, Gary, too, when he first joined the Raptors in Tampa. He was very intentional too. I think he got like a custom Blue Jays jersey with like his name on the back. Like he wore a lot of Toronto stuff too.
Mhm.
Which,
Yeah, I
like,
asked him about bubble fashion as well.
Right.
And just seeing like, did you get any joy from that, or was like Groundhog's Day? And he's like, some moments like it did bring a little bit of
Mhm.
joy, but basically you wore it to the arena and you went right back to your room.
Yeah.
But I will say that another reason that I wanted to do this story on Gary is because when we talk about the personality, I feel like you can tell a lot from a player, people, and how they interact with people not around the team. Like Gary is always saying hi to the security guards, the ushers, just everybody, the custodians.
good
And like,
dude,
and it
yeah.
honestly reminded me a lot of Norman Powell, which I know they're involved with the trade together. And I
Right.
love Storm and Norman because he's so nice to everybody.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And Gary, I know at least sometimes maybe in his post games and that, you may not perceive him that way, but he's really nice.
No, he's very polite.
Yeah.
Like he's a very polite
he's got good
person.
manners.
'Cause some
Well, you
people
can
do
tell.
not
We literally
acknowledge
have his
anybody.
dad. Yeah, we've had his dad in the
Yeah.
studio many times. You know he's been through just like
You're
very,
a sucker.
very strict
Go for
parenting.
it.
But I also think that like even when you listen to, for example, I listened to the Kevin Garnett podcast where him and Paul Pierce chat about the 08 Celtics nonstop. Actually, honestly, I kind of really like that team, and I actually really like those two specifically. But KG always talks, whenever he talks about Toronto, he mentions and he calls Gary nephew. My little nephew's in there in Toronto doing his thing. Gary grew up in NBA locker rooms, and I think that's why he's so mature and so much like
Yeah.
almost ahead of the curve in a way for a guy who's 23. You forget he's 23 because he's really a guy who just, this is his life. Like his whole life, he's grown up in this environment. So he probably thinks he's dressing normal, to be honest.
So the key to me, like probably being mature, is I should have grown up in an NBA locker room. And that's
Yes.
what failed me.
It's a big
Yeah,
word.
that's
Yeah.
that's a takeaway from this.
Yeah,
But
that's
everybody
what I
should
took
check
away.
out Lindsay's feature.
Yes,
Appreciate
it's
you
the only
dropping by.
positive Raptors news out there. So I urge you to check
Appreciate
it
you
out.
dropping by.
Okay, that does it for us today. I've been your host, Will Lou, and you've been listening to the Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. Make sure you find the Raptors Show wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe, and please rate and review the show. A reminder, we're streaming live on Sportsnet's YouTube channel and airing live on Sportsnet 360 Monday to Friday from 2 to 3 p.m. Thanks again to producer and co-host Alex Wong. Big thanks to Lindsey Dunn for joining us in studio. Thanks to our board producer Derek Brandale and Jennifer Rolnick for helping us with the YouTube stream. And we'll be back to talk about this miserable basketball team tomorrow.
Feels good, man. Said Kawhi would stay. Said Kawhi would stay. He stayed in our hearts. He stayed in our hearts. Not mine.